Good evening, Percy Glover here, kicking it with Pete. Community leader, community ambassador.
It's about that time.
Hey,
tell a friend to come and pull up a seat. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete. Hey, tell a friend to come and pull up a seat. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete. And when you kick it with Pete, we be keeping it Pete. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete. And when you kick it with Pete, we be keeping it Pete. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete.
I'm back, and y'all already know this here's another episode of Kicking It with Pete, man. Today we got the one and only Percy Glover in the building, man. This man, he's a national speaker, an advocate, an educator inside the jail, prison, and criminal justice reform system, man. And he's doing everything right here in Flint, man. Go ahead and give Percy Glover a warm welcome to the show, man. Percy, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, for sure, man. Again, sorry about the technical difficulties, man.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hey, and I'm quite sure in your field, man, you deal with technical difficulties, man. So this one of them inside of this type of field, man. So we go kind of get back into it just in case some of the people, you know what I'm saying, didn't hear many of the questions or couldn't hear many of the questions. So first question was, man, what was life like growing up for you in Flint? You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to 12-year-old Percy. What was 12-year-old Percy doing here around Flint?
It was for the most part easy peasy. You know, I was doing the typical things a 12-year-old boy would be doing back then. I'm playing basketball. I'm, you know, hanging out with my friends, riding bicycles. You know. So far removed from basketball. Haven't played in a long time. But, you know, doing the average things kids were doing back then.
Okay. So what were some of the biggest challenge that you feel like that you faced coming up in Flint?
Just coming from a single parent home where there was not a lot of money, you know. You know, poverty is a struggle. It impacts everything about you, your confidence. It impacts the ability to be outgoing, to be friendly, because you're a small person that's just struggling with like, oh, what's going on? It's like not much here in the house, you know. So
and
that was primarily, if there was a struggle, that was the only struggle, you know, just
financial struggle.
Definitely 100%.
And I feel like a lot of us here, you know what I'm saying, around the city say that, you know what I'm saying, the financial struggle would be pretty much the main, you know what I'm saying, the main struggle for us. So it's like, man, before, you know what I'm saying, before, and we go get into it, you know, before you know what I'm saying, you grew older and, you know, you got involved inside the prison system and everything. Before all of that, what was your dream what was the dreams of young Percy? Like, where did you see your life going when you were younger?
I don't think I really gave a lot of thought about what I wanted to do professionally, but as a small person, I always wanted to go to a major university.
Okay.
I always wanted to go to a Duke, UCLA, one of the, you know, huge institutions.
Okay.
You know, that was probably one thing I thought about constantly as a kid.
Let me ask you this though, you know, because you got your bachelor's, right?
And masters.
Had you thought about, you know what I'm saying, furthering your education at one of these other schools still?
I have not, but ironically, I just signed up for a fellowship. There's a group of us collectively in the community where I'm working on additional master credit classes and coursework. So maybe in the future, I don't know.
Okay. Looking back now, what do you think Flint taught you though, both good and bad?
Good and bad. Good, obviously, resilience. You know, being able to bounce back from anything and everything. Bad, you know, I don't really see lessons as bad. I just see them as lessons. You know, you learn from them, you move on, you take the pieces that support you in the future, and everything else you leave behind. You know, I don't see no bad about Flint or growing up.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You spent over a decade in the Michigan prison system.
Mm-hmm.
What was that period like for you though, like mentally and emotionally? Like if you can just go back to that, like just the day to day, how did that really just have you like mentally and emotionally?
Mentally, it was a process growing up. You know, I spent all of my 20s in prison.
Okay.
You know, you are forced to find maturity in a situation, in a capacity where there's no process for you to mature. So saying that to say that internally, I was forced to look at myself and say I needed to grow up. But what's around me is not structured in a way for me to do so. So I had to find that internally. Prison back then, is hostile. It's a lot of fights about some dumb stuff. It's a lot of somebody broke in your room and stole something. It's a lot of little bit of everything that it's not a safe place. Obviously, it's dangerous. But also, you could easily find yourself in a situation where you got a few more years extra because you got involved in the wrong things. So mentally, it was always the everyday challenge of growing up. Emotionally, you're missing your mom, you're missing your sister, you're missing your friends. That's tough, especially early on.
Yeah.
It's a process to develop that somewhat, maybe not the best word, but strength to not be so burdened about missing your friends and family. One thing I struggled with, and I got lucky, I just stumbled up on a book. So one summer,
What was the name of the book?
I cannot remember the book, the name of the book, but it talked about seasonal depression. And I remember one summer, I went outside and I just felt like I wanted to cry. I'm like, what's wrong? I just feel so sad. And I couldn't put my finger on it. So I go to the library a couple days later. I just so happened, I guess an angel was blessing me. I came across this book that talked about seasonal depression. That, you leave the winter months, go into summer months, you're more happy. Leaving the summer months, going to the winter months, you get a little bit more depressed. For me, it was a summer. And in that particular summer, I just felt myself sad because I'm in prison. I can't get away. I'm stuck here. I'm locked up here. But I'm thinking about all of the summer activities. I'm thinking about beaches, thinking about biking, barbecues, and not being able to experience any of that. It had me sad, So emotionally, it is definitely a roller coaster at times. You have to exercise the right muscles to make sure you don't succumb to all of the lifestyle of prison, and also don't succumb to all of how it can whoop you down emotionally.
Okay. So when you was dealing, you know what I'm saying, like dealing with all of that, what was one of your, when you did find yourself falling into, you know what I'm saying, missing like your family, missing your friends, or just even when you found yourself maybe wanting to, deter over into like something that you wasn't supposed to be doing, how did you find like the balance and find yourself to steer yourself back in the right direction that you needed to, just so you could make sure, you know what I'm saying, you're not adding extra time to your sentence and making sure that you can get back home to these people that you've been missing?
I was really blessed. And I wouldn't say this is the it in totality, but I was really blessed to be around some older gentlemen that had some real life experiences outside of whatever criminal things they did that brought them to prison. So, I was had an opportunity to meet a doctor, a senator, an attorney, a few business owners that, shared what I could expect as a professional when I'm released. So those type of moments and those type of conversations about expectations of where I would be professionally helped me stay focused. A lot of reading, a lot of writing also supported me to stay, responsible to a degree. I mean, you're going to have some bumps in the road. I had a lot of dumb fights about basketball, you have some of those fights about Flint, Detroit back then. You just have some of that until you can find just the maturity to say, okay, this is how I navigate these people, this is how I navigate the situation, and keep it responsible for myself and people around me.
Okay. And that there makes sense. So, man, you often say, my worst experiences have been my best education to service the people. Can you break down what you mean when you say that?
All of everything. Growing up impoverished, growing up in a single parent home, growing up with not a lot of money, all of the things that I played a part in that played a part in me going to prison, all of the stupidity, whether it's fighting on the basketball court, about a basketball game, in prison, all of the transition that was tough getting out of prison, having to find, again, back then, nothing existed. When I was released from prison 23 years ago, you couldn't find a job. So the struggle in that, all of those human things that I struggle with internally and externally,
Yeah.
I started to see that a lot of it people still struggle with today. So
Okay.
if people are still struggling with it, and I struggled with it back then, and I've made my shifts, and I made my transitions, it's my job to assist someone else. So all of those horrible things, when I say my worst experiences, it's been the best education. Don't get me wrong, I have 4 degrees. I have a GED, a associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree. Formal education is great. But lived education is a different experience and understanding that you will never get from a book.
Yeah.
And those lived experiences that were much more difficult and tumultuous gave the greatest understanding to help the people.
Okay. So let me ask you this, man. Being that, you know what I'm saying, like you say, like when you first got out, it was kind of hard for you, you know what I'm saying, to find a job. And like even with guys now, once they get out the system,
Mhm.
it'd be hard for them to find a job. Do you feel like, you know what I'm saying, do you feel like with some people that don't have the
Excuse me.
same, like, you know what I'm saying, willpower, the same strength that you had to find that positive, you know what I'm saying, to find that positive route? Do you feel like that's sometimes why some people kind of like double back because when they get out, you know, they get discouraged because they can't find work
Mhm.
and they have to pretty much go to what they kind of knew to make, you know what I'm saying, to make money? Do you
Of
feel like
course,
that's kind
100%.
of what it is?
100%. You have to consider that you're not released from prison. It's like being released to the world as a newborn, birthed by the mom. But in this capacity of being released from prison, you're an adult being birthed back to the community,
Yeah.
meaning you don't have anything. You don't have clothes, you don't have shoes, you don't have a job, you don't have money, you don't have assets, you don't have a vehicle, you may not have a place to stay. And most people in prison, they don't have a ecosystem that can help them transition back to the community. Meaning, most people in prison didn't come from a very affluent place. They didn't come from a rich family. Because if
Yeah.
they did, most times they wouldn't have done the things they did to end up in prison. So most
Right.
people, especially if we're talking about black and brown men, come from a really impoverished place. And a lot of times they're returning back to an impoverished place. And it's difficult when you can't find a way to feed yourself.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's
Most
difficult.
definitely. And that's whether you getting out of, you know what I'm saying, getting out the
Mhm.
system or just already been here in the real world, you know what I'm saying? And that's why some people end up in that position because, you know,
Definitely.
they trying to provide, they trying to
Mhm.
figure out how they go feed themselves, how they
Mhm.
go feed their kids. So that part, you know what I'm saying, that there is totally like understandable. So let me ask you this. So at what was your turning point though? Like that moment when you decided, I'm not gonna let my past and what I've been through define me. I'm gonna grow from it.
It had to be when I came back to the community and understood how difficult it was gonna be. That was the I can't even say one moment. That was the moments that reinforced that and whatever and however tough it gets, you're not gonna do anything that's gonna lead you back to jail and prison. You know?
Okay.
It didn't look very promising. It didn't look promising at all, but I could just continue to tell myself, I will find my way. I'll find my way.
Okay. So like when you came home, like did you find it hard to kind of like not like, you know what I'm saying, link back up with old friends that, you know what I'm saying, that may still be doing stuff that you no longer wanted to involve yourself with now that you came home? Or like what was it like for you trying to transition back, coming home and just being around your people again?
Oh man, that is a discipline that you have to find. At least I had to find immediately. One of my friends who had got out, I think maybe about 18 months before me, he called and he said, "Hey, some of the Detroit guys are asking, like, oh, he's home. Like, where can we find him? Where can we see him?" I'm like, "What they doing?" He's like, "Man, everything." I'm like, "How's it going?" He's like, "Man, they're rich. It's like back to where they were.
Yeah.
His and her Benzes, his and her fur coats, his and her Cadillacs." And I was like, "Tell them you haven't seen me. I do not want to talk to them because I knew the temptation would be too strong.
Yeah.
These guys got $400,000 houses in Farming Hills. You know, I'm barely have somewhere to stay. You know, so to connect with those guys and not get pulled into something would have been impossible for me.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, it was just staying away. That's how I was able to, you know, deal with those old friends or friendships I had developed in prison and saw guys now that we're released that were doing certain things. I just made sure I stayed away from them.
Okay. And that there makes sense. And that just comes with, you know what I'm saying, with the growth. You know what I'm saying? Growing up. It's like and I tell people that, like, it ain't nothing personal against you. I don't got no problem with you, but me knowing where I'm trying to get myself to in life and what I'm trying to avoid, being around you, it's not gonna line up with that because I know me.
Of
And it
course.
seemed like that's what it was. You knew yourself. So to avoid that temptation and everything, you just nipped it all in the bud.
Of course.
So let me ask you this. So far as like when you did get incarcerated, you said that you was incarcerated pretty much for you was shot and then you pretty much retaliated, right? So let me ask you this. Do you now that you're older and everything, and you know what I'm saying, everything has been dealt with, do you feel as if that didn't retaliate the way that you retaliated so you wouldn't have to go through what you went through? Far as like, it's kind of like what I'm trying to ask, like how we say now, like with certain situations, we need to think before we do it because we don't know what it'll lead us to. So was that one of them kind of situations where you feel like, dang, maybe if I would have went into this situation, I wouldn't have had to spend most of my 20s in jail? Or like how do you feel about that?
So the first thing I say, you know, for men of all color, as boys, we're not taught how to walk away. You know, it's always
Most definitely.
stand up for yourself. It's always defend yourself. It's always fight back. It's always those type of messages. And the biggest way to de-escalate a moment is walk away.
Right.
That's the toughest and strongest de-escalation method. Just
Yeah.
walk away. And I wish I had that capacity back then just to walk away, not only for myself, but for my co-defendants, their friends, their family, their loved ones, for myself, my friends, my family, my loved ones, for the people we retaliated against that were shot, their friends, their family, their loved ones, the community broadly, because everybody suffers. There's no win.
Right.
You know, I could not have conceptualized this in no way back then, but the biggest win back then would have been for me to walk away. You know,
Yeah.
again, hindsight is, you know, 2020. As a young person, I didn't have that understanding to distance myself from the moment. But the biggest piece for, again, us as men, we have to be better at teaching our kids that it's okay to walk away.
Right. Yeah.
It's
And-
okay.
And I feel like with a lot of the, you know what I'm saying, senseless crime and everything that goes around in the city and even the world, like you say, it comes from that pride of us being a man, feeling like, yo, he ain't finna little dog me, he ain't finna little bro me, he's not finna make me feel less of an alpha male. So in order for me to feel like an alpha male, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna retaliate this way. And now it's like, okay, who's the bigger person? But not knowing in reality, you really, you the bigger person to the streets or however you may see it. But in our reality, you turning yourself into a small person because once you go inside that system, ain't none of that go matter when you inside that yard.
Absolutely does not matter.
You know what I'm saying? None of that's
matter.
gonna matter. So, and I, you know what I'm saying? I get I get it. Like I say, I'm the same way. It's hard for me to walk away from certain situations. But as I got older, I realized, like, yo, if I don't walk away from this, like you say, if I don't walk away from this, I hurt my mom. I hurt my aunt. I hurt my brother. Even then, like you say, I hurt the community. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's definitely more to it. And I wish that the younger folks can really like understand that part of it, man. It's cool. Your homeboys go laugh at you regardless. No matter what you do. If you don't say nothing back within 3 seconds, they gonna feel like that you let something go. So it's like your friends go laugh at you regardless. So it's like, but that also lets you know what type of friends you have. Because if some of your certain like some situations don't be worth taking it there. So if you don't really got people around you that's gonna be like, yo, come on, man, this one ain't worth it. You really don't, you know what I'm saying? You really don't need them people around you. Them the people you don't want around you. You want people around you that's gonna kind of tell you like, hey, this one ain't it, bro.
And a lot of times we don't see the ripples in the water. You know, we don't see the domino effect of how you just said how many people are impacted and how many people are hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, consequences for us as individuals, but the people that love us most also feel those consequences.
Yeah.
You know, and it's painful. You know, that our responsibility is not to put people through those levels of pain because of our immaturity, because of our impulsiveness, because of our stupidity.
Right.
You know, it's our responsibility to empower our friends, family, and community positively. You know, empower them with love, encouragement. And that's not only in words, that's in deeds and actions. And our actions and everyday movement and things we're involved in, we should be creating empowerment, not destroying people down emotionally. And again, I learned it the hard way that my retaliatory actions, you know, hurt a lot of people.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What's a message that you would give someone currently incarcerated who just feels like, you know what I'm saying, their life is over right now?
For someone that's currently incarcerated, if we're talking about somebody in a jail that is coming back to the community immediately, I would encourage meditation and prayer because that person is coming back to the community right away. You know, and in jail, there's typically not a lot of time to develop a lot from an educational standpoint or to get a degree, you know. So I would say do everything you can internally to build yourself up, you know, and whatever program or services that are available in the jail, embrace each and every one of them. On the prison side, for someone that obviously will be in prison a much longer length of time than as opposed to somebody in jail, I would say do everything academically to find your passion while also being heavy in prayer and in meditation that also helps find your passion. You know, because things we love, and this is an old and maybe sometimes tired cliche, but the things we love and are most passionate about, those are the things that we were great professionally. And those are the things that typically we find a lot of wealth in professionally. You know, so I'll say, yeah, do a real internal meditation, prayer, and academic exploration about what you want to do and what impact you want to leave in this world.
Okay. Okay, so you've been pretty much at the front lines of the jails, you know what I'm saying, in the prison reform, you know what I'm saying, reform program. So working with the Genesee County Sheriff's Office and I.G.N.I.T.E program. How did you get connected with that type of work?
So again, it was really a divine higher spirit that brought all of everything together the last 6-7 years.
Okay.
So I also worked at Flint Parole, where I was community coordinator for all of Region 6 Parole, which encompassed 7 counties. And there was a transition in service providers, and I decided to depart. And as I was talking to one of my colleagues, she asked me what's next. And I said, I don't know. Let me think about it. Called her back a few days, and I said, well, you know, jail reform doesn't exist to no degree. And she like, it doesn't. I said, who do I talk to? And she said, well, call the captain at the jail. Called the captain, answered the email, never got a response. A couple years passed, we having a conversation about new educational services, and Sheriff Swanson, who just became the interim sheriff, had this acronym, I.G.N.I.T.E, Inmate Growth Naturally and Intentionally Through Education. He had the acronym and had, okay, how do we put all this together for a bigger scale of turning the jail into an academic place? And I said, I got it. I said, we are about to change the world. And that's the attitude I had from day one, immediately when he shared the acronym. And when I say it was a divine spirit, Because think again, what I shared was 2 years back, I had thinking
Yeah,
and
you was
shared that
already in the process of trying to do it yourself.
I said, hey, jail reforms needs to be addressed. It doesn't exist. Not knowing that I will have a conversation with Sheriff Swanson 2 years later, then from there, we are on a trajectory to create and impact jail reform. So it was
Okay.
really a divine energy and spirit.
So with that, like, what's some of the different programs that y'all offer? Because I know at one point y'all had the music program up there
Mhm.
where y'all had Jelly Roll come up
Mhm.
there and do some stuff like with the inmates. So what made y'all want to make, you know what I'm saying, music kind of like one of the main focuses in there?
Mhm. I'm no longer with the sheriff's office. I separated a few
Okay.
months ago. Uh, However, we did impact a lot while I was there. Jelly Roll, a super cool guy. Super cool.
Yeah, he made a big transition himself, man. So
Definitely, he's a
yeah.
super cool guy. And part of his wanting to give back specifically to the jail and visit the jail is because of his own personal experiences with jail. You know, he had been locked up multiple times before he even came close to finding success that a lot of people don't even think, no, he was a rapper first. And then when he transitioned from rap to country western is when he found his pathway to music. Um, when you talk about music, music is therapy. Music is healing. Music is a piece of the creativity that impacts the world. So when you have so much time to be in an unfortunate situation like jail, to be creative, why not give people the opportunity to be just that, to be able to create that can change the world, that can change the world even more so when they're released because they had the opportunity to create. So it's really that simple. Music is healing. Music is mood. Music is one of the difference makers. So we want to make sure we give everybody in that situation that was interested and passionate about that particular piece the opportunity to lead and create something new for the world.
Okay. And man, let me ask you this: do you have a passion for music yourself, man? Because only reason why I asked that, man, because I want to just ask you, far as like with the Harmony Fest that you have,
Mhm.
like, man, you be doing a lot of stuff around the
Mhm.
city with, you know what I'm saying, the rappers around here that
Mhm.
have big names. Cause correct me if I'm wrong, you done did a Harmony Fest with BFB the Pac Man.
Yep, yep,
You did one with Crispy Life Kid, right?
yep. We did two. Well, Chris became the two of them. Yep.
Okay, so y'all you did two with him, and then recently the most biggest one that y'all just did was with Rio.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so and then you did the fishing trip. You just did the fishing trip with Babyface E as
Mhm.
well. So let me ask you this: how did you pretty much get involved like with what I'm saying, the rappers around here and just bringing them into like your mission that you got going on? Because outside of the Harmony Fest and just what I'm saying, bringing the artists and
Mhm.
bringing these artists to what I'm saying, to these areas where a lot of the kids may get to see them, may not get to see them.
Mhm.
Not only that, you're bringing a bunch of resources
Of
to this
course.
area.
Mhm.
So like, where did that idea come from to kind of merge, to kind of merge the two, the art, I'm saying, the art of the artist, and
Mhm.
then like the community work and turn it
Mhm.
into a festival like you did?
So one of the things you have to applaud our local talent, specifically our rappers. They are eager to give back. They want to support the community in ways they can. So you have to applaud that. So the Harmony Fest started, initially the first one was a national partner reached out and said, hey, Percy, we want to see some things happen in the community and we want to support and we have a budget of this amount. So it actually was, again, one of those angel moments where
Yeah.
a national partner reached out to me and said, we had X amount of dollars. So we had the first Harmony Fest. The following summer, a few people asked me about it and said, hey, are you having this event again? I said, I had no plans of it. Then a few more people asked me about it, and I said, okay, when you have multiple inquiries about something, that means there's responsibility there. So when I thought about it, I reached out to Latrice Brown, who works at the city, and I said, Latrice, I'm processing a thought. I said, we had Harmony Fest 1, but I'm like, let's go to the community. And she said, "What you thinking?" I said, "We need to go where the people need us most, the Regencies."
Okay.
And the response with that was not positive. It was super positive with Latrice, but it wasn't positive across the community broadly. People thought it was a dumb idea. They thought it was too dangerous. They didn't think it was safe to have a community event in this particular population or area of Flint. And we had an absolute party out there.
Yeah, I saw it,
We
man.
had a great time. We had resources, bounce houses, gaming truck, food truck. We had a party out there. Following summer, came back to the Regencies. We had 1,400 plus people out there. As you shared, BFB the Pac-Man was there. He performed. Man, we had a great time out there. We had literally, when I say a great time, we had a great time. And one of the bigger impacts is, as you were talking about music, and why music for the residents of the jail. Same way for the residents that music is mood, creates healing, creates empowerment. Also, when you have moments in the community where you're able to bring food, you bring music, you bring all of those things that help build the mood and create the mood,
Yeah.
that how could you have a moment that goes wrong?
Yeah.
We had a great deal of diversity. That second year in the Regencies, white people, black people, older people, young people, brown people. And again, when you have mood, music, that music impacts mood, food impact mood, that we had when I say we had a great time, we had a great time.
Yeah, and based off of like what you were saying like a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, threw out the negative comments, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like you said, y'all had a great time. Those people out there really, you know what I'm saying, about enjoyed it, because a lot of people in these areas don't got cars, you know what I'm saying? They don't got the transportation to move around.
They're struggling financially.
Yeah, so it's like for y'all to be able to bring that, you know what I'm saying, pretty much to their doorstep. You know what I'm saying? To where all they got to do is come outside, come in the middle of the common area, and can get this type of stuff. That's the type of stuff that the community needs. Like,
Of course.
instead of everybody saying like, oh yeah, we shouldn't do this over here because they ain't gonna know how to act or this and this. But at the same time, how do we train the people to know how to act in certain situations and in certain environments if we don't ever bring them to them? They can't get to it. So let's bring it to them to where, okay, bet. If they know how to act at a festival inside their own community, outside their own door, maybe when they do go to the festivals downtown, they know how to conduct themselves because they know what to expect and stuff like that. So like, and that's just even with kids today and just growing up. If you don't know how to conduct yourself in an environment, of course you go in that environment and act how you think you supposed to act. So I definitely, you know what I'm saying, applaud you, you know what I'm saying, for that. So let me ask you this, man, because it's like a lot of promoters and like a lot of people around the city was looking to get Rio here pretty much for his first show. You pretty much pulled that off. So like, how did that make you feel to be able to bring him back pretty much for his first show here inside the city, but do it in a way to where it has such a positive impact on the community to where pretty much didn't nobody have to pay to even come witness this show? As far as like for the kids, they were able to get bikes and, you know what I'm saying, those same resources and everything.
So Flint Harmony Fest for this past summer, that was July 17th at Memorial Park. You know, I say God put the right people and the right elements at your hand, at your doorstep at the right time. You know, a lot of it was Rio was eager to come back to the community. You know, this past summer, after his stint in prison, after his tether and house arrest, that was his first time back in Flint. So he was eager and excited to come back home. Also, eager and excited to share to the community. He wanted to do something where he could give back. Rio donated a nice amount of money for the purchase of bikes, scooters, and skateboards.
Okay.
And again, like I said, the biggest thing was he wanted to come back to the community. He missed home. He absolutely loves his home. And we had a great time that day as well. We had a wonderful time. We had about 2,500 people there.
Man.
Yeah, we had about 2,500 people there. We had all of the resources there. Sliced Pizza gave out pizza, slanging meats. They barbecued chicken, hot dog, bratwurst,
Okay.
burgers. All food was free. Eddie Walker brought bounce houses from E&B bounce houses. And we had about 7 bounce houses there. Oh man, we had everything that works.
Yeah, I see Ghazi even came down. You know what I'm saying? Ghazi even
Ghazi is
came
the
down. So
CEO
yeah.
of the record label that Rio was on. Y&J, Ghazi, RMC Mike. Man, when I say they came, engaged with the people. They came to support Rio. They came to support Flint. They came just to give back. And like I said, we had a real good time, man. It was amazing. It couldn't have even been more perfect. Haircuts.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Y'all had y'all that's what I
Gave
say.
out manicures to the little
Y'all
girls.
had
Like,
a
yeah,
lot going on,
it was,
man.
man, it was, year 4 that ballooned perfectly because it was also, again, Rio's moment back to Flint, back to the community, which was a good highlight for him, which was a great highlight for him to come back and see friends and family. It was also, when you look at the responsibility people have, it, it's not it's not required of Rio to get back to the community. That was
Right.
something he really wanted to do. He said, "What can I do for the kids?" Summertime, bikes are expensive these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
Bike
get
prices have went up. Yeah.
bikes are expensive today. To get a small Spider-Man bike for a 4 or 5-year-old is about $120. So bikes aren't cheap anymore. Uh, it's a summer activity that I think can help kids embrace being physical again
Yeah.
and not just being indoors. And again, it was a piece that, Rio really wanted to do, and it evolved and ballooned. Man, I hate to use the word perfect, but it was absolutely perfect. We had a great time. Yep.
And that's what's up, man. So another thing, man, I gotta ask you, man, and a lot of people, like, man, and a lot of people been, you know what I'm saying, been giving you your props and just been saying it, like, man, you really, it seemed like you're really a man that's connected and have a lot more power than you may realize. Like, man, another big highlight, far as like when Rio came home,
Mhm.
the fact that you were able to set up to where he was able to visit his brother.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's like being that, you know what I'm saying, you cause what was your partner name? His name's
John
Janelle,
Allen.
yeah.
John Allen
Yeah.
Bay.
So it's like being that you and him was able to even make that happen. Being that he haven't, you know what I'm saying, saw his brother in so long and to be able to
Mhm.
really sit down and give his brother some positive words.
Mhm.
How did that type of interaction make you feel, just to know like, yo, I was able to help do this?
So one of the big things with being incarcerated is the breakdown of the family structure.
Yeah.
You're not able to talk to your loved ones every day. Letters can only do so much. Phone calls get expensive. You can't see people all the time. Yes, now in-person visits are back in the jail, and they hadn't been. We hadn't had in-person visits for a long time, but yes, there are now in-person visits. Again, it has in-person visits in the jail have been back for almost 3 years now. So
Okay.
this wasn't something special specifically for Rio. This is something that's been happening for the last few years. Making sure men and women in jail are now again seeing their loved ones. For Rio, it is obviously he hadn't seen his brother in almost 6 years.
Right.
So that was a healthy piece for him to keep him focused on, you know what, music and the big picture of music is not just about me, it's also about my family structures because I still got a little brother I gotta, support once
Yeah.
he comes back to the community. Also on the flip side for the little brother is that piece of inspiration for him to say, man, my brother has made it. So whatever and however and why I got to this situation with this jail, let me not let this happen ever again.
Yeah.
Because I have now a resource and a brother that has all the resources across the world. I should never ever want to put myself around a person, situation to be in jail ever again. So it's also that inspiration for the brother, and it also creates that moment of healing for the family.
Yeah.
Because now the mom can see that, you know what, my sons are reconnected. The brother now has a different inspiration and influence on the brother. The brother that's in jail now has that, you know what, belief that life can be different, life can be better. It definitely was and is something that happens for John and I quite frequently than people probably even notice.
Know about,
I
okay.
mean, if you go back and look at some of my social media posts, you'll see me in jail with Jim Harbaugh, former coach of U of M Flint. University of Michigan. You'll see me with pictures with Cliff Mack, Jelly Roll,
Okay.
senators, congressmen.
Yeah, you
To
involved with a lot, man.
you'll see pictures of all levels of people from all demographics and backgrounds of life. Um, Saying all of that, say that no, Rio didn't have to pay us for him to see his brother. So I don't know why people put that message out there, but no, he didn't have to pay us. Yes, it was and is a powerful piece in regards to family reunification, and it is something that we've worked on with a lot of community members across the board over the last 3-4 years in regards to making sure the family stays connected.
Okay. And that there, like I said, man, that there is dope, and based off of how you said it, it makes a lot of sense. Like you say, by him being able to come in there and physically talk to his brother, like, hey, this what's going on, this what I got going on. When his brother do go back into that cell, it gives him something to look forward to. It gives him something to work towards while he's in there, to know, yo, my brother made, you know what I'm saying? My brother made it out of his situation, and look at how once he made it out this situation, life is going, you know what I'm saying, is going for him. So, like I say, that there was dope. And I didn't know that, you know what I'm saying, they was back doing like the actual, you know what I'm saying, visits, you know what I'm saying, the actual visits like that. So again, that there was dope. So let me ask you this. You also created a jail-based voting process that was featured on Good Morning America. How did that idea come about, and what does it mean for people inside to have that voice?
So it wasn't an idea, it's a constitutional right.
Okay.
So in Michigan, if you have not been sentenced and you're residing in the jail, you can vote absentee ballot. You can do so in person or you can do so by mail. So the irony of my efforts that I lead around jail voting is that I personally did not know you could vote from jail. So how all of this manifests, I get a call from Ashley Carter. She's with the Advancement Project.
Okay.
She gives me a call. I said, hey, Percy, I've reached out to, back then, the county clerk, John Gleason, and I see Genesee County Jail as an ideal model for jail voting. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking. What do you mean jail voting? That again, people in jail in Michigan, if they haven't been sentenced, they can vote absentee ballot. I did not know that at that point.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't know that at that
Okay.
point. So, long story short, myself, Jonell Allen Bay, a couple other volunteers, Ashley Carter, then County Clerk John Gleason. We are accompanied by then Jail Administrator Captain Jason Gould, and we go into the jail and we register about 370 so people to vote. So moving forward, Jonell said, hey, Percy, we have a responsibility to continue this. Again, a week before, I didn't even know people could vote from jail.
Right.
So responsibility makes sense, but I don't understand or know how this works. So from there, it was a lot of research. Moving forward, it was a lot of calls, emails to my good friend Shelley Belton at the at the Michigan Bureau of Elections. There was a lot of back and forth with Tony Gant Bay on what this process needed to look like. Me being me, I probably, like I'll do everything, overthought things, overprocessed, just making sure that, that everything was in line from a legislative standpoint and a legal standpoint, that we wouldn't missing anything. It's been a little bit more than 6 years since that first moment where we register all those folks to vote. And this past November marked the 14th straight election that I led jail voting at the Genesee County Jail, where
Okay.
people were able to vote. My efforts are one of the few efforts across the country. Our partners in Chicago at Cook County Jail, Chicago Votes, they consistently have a process in place where people are supported in voting. There's some recent changes in laws in Colorado where people now will be consistently voting from jail, but primarily over the last handful of years, it's just really been myself and Chicago Votes that has, impacted that population while supporting them in voting. We definitely made Good Morning America. That was I keep saying the granny moment for me. That was the moment that, my granny, she's looking down at me saying, he's made me very proud. I've been on not only Good Morning America about jail voting, I made a couple other national publications. I've been on local news regularly, state news regularly about jail voting. Regardless of what a person's opinion is about somebody's in jail, about people in jail, it's a constitutional right that cannot be removed. So whatever your personal feeling is about people voting from jail, legally, you cannot remove access for people voting in jail. And also there is certain legalities that we have to pay attention to, because if there's not things in place for people to vote in jail, that is voter suppression, because you have to provide access for people.
Okay.
You have to provide the legal constitutional right and access to voting. It's been heaven sent to be honestly a part of history. The access was always there.
But people just didn't know.
People just never paid attention to what was in black and white that said, hey, people in jail can also vote. And one of those angels, Ashley Carter, brought it to my attention. We supported people in getting registered to vote. And then one of those angels, Janelle, said, hey, Percy, we got to continue this. And I figured it out. And again, it's been nationally recognized over and over.
Man, I don't want to say it, man. It seems like, man, you're a lucky guy, man. Like, and I say lucky just far as like a lot of just listening to the conversation, man. A lot of the opportunities that was brung to you was really just brung to you. It's like you had these ideas, but when it was time to fully put the ideas together and you know what I'm saying, execute them, they was already they was just presented to you like, hey, this is here. I want you to come do it.
Right.
So let me ask you this, man. Being that, you did all of that and, like the jail systems that you did go into and the guys that you did let know, like, hey, you know why you in here, you can vote. How did the guys that was incarcerated react to that? You know what I'm saying? Thinking that, yo, while I'm in here, I can't vote. But now knowing, like, I'm in here, I can vote. So, like, how did that make them feel knowing that they still had their right to vote while they was in here?
So early on, culturally, let me back up. So people in jail and people in the community have their same concerns about voting. Black and brown people, marginalized people, we have our own natural mistrust, distrust for the voting system. We naturally believe our votes don't count. We naturally believe our votes won't be counted accurately. We naturally believe that whoever we vote for, if we vote, they won't make the real difference that is specific for us, for the community. We have all of these things naturally. So all of why people don't vote in the community are legitimately all of why people won't vote in jail.
Okay.
Mistrust for the system, mistrust in people, et cetera, et cetera. So it was, the education helping people in jail understand, like, hey, it's in some capacities more important for you to vote in here than it is in the community. Now, we should be voting broadly across all communities in jail and in jail and in the community. And let me say, not let me use the word more important. It is maybe more significant that a person vote in jail in some capacities than it is community. For example, you and I, we're not involved in the judicial system. Those experiences for me are old now. I will never be back in front of the judge for doing something bad.
Right.
But guess what? For somebody's in jail, they got the most invested reason for somebody and who becomes a judge. Because guess what? They're going through the judicial process. So for that capacity, yes, somebody in jail, it's more significant for them to vote for a Michigan Court of Appeals judge, a local judicial seat, a Michigan Supreme Court justice, because they are going through the they're going through the judicial process and may be going through the appellate process. That may also go through the appellate process that not only a Michigan Court of Appeals judge may review their submission, but also at some point their submission may be evaluated by a Supreme Court justice. So they have the more vested interest in who becomes a judge than people like us. Because yes, we have value and understanding that we need to pick the most ideal candidates for every seat. But when you talk about a person's livelihood and who becomes a judge and understanding due process, understanding fairness to due process and those type of things, yeah, a person in jail has more invested interest. So,
that makes sense.
So it's really education. When you said, how did they take it at first? Questionable, like most people.
Yeah.
Questionable, like most Black and brown and marginalized people in the community. But once they understood the value and the power in their vote, and the value in their voice in voting, people slowly embraced it.
And that's what's up, man. And that's what's up. So let me ask you this. What do you think is like one of the biggest changes that needs to be done inside the criminal justice system today?
The biggest change? There's many
one of them,
necessary
just one
changes. What is the biggest?
The one that stand out to you the most?
So everything starts with policing.
Okay.
There's an investigation, then there's an arrest, then there's a submission to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office then make a decision on whether to prosecute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's, pieces and pieces. And most times when it starts really bad on the police side and the investigation side, it goes bad all the way through the process. So the biggest piece of necessary change is on the police side. Policing has to be more appropriate for Black and brown communities. We should not be seeing things like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. We shouldn't see moments like that of police to community death. That shouldn't be existing. But overall, it just has to be better all the way around from the police, investigation, and arrest side. It just has to be better.
Okay, and that there is valid. That there is valid. So let me ask you this before we start wrapping things up, man. So do you see yourself, expanding like your brand with the advocacy on a national level even more, or are you just focused on, building stronger programs here in Flint?
I'm a Flintstone. From the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I love my community.
Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that.
What's my favorite word? Flint.
Okay, wait, hold on, Percy. Wait. Hey, I was about to say, wait, this whole interview just went another way. I get it though, man. But I get it. That's what's up. I thought you was gonna go into your too short man.
Flint. What's my favorite word? Flint.
Okay.
So I love my community, and I'm always. And will always do everything I can to support the community. Like I said earlier, I just recently became a part of a national fellowship. So there's always and will always continue to be opportunities to connect broadly across city, county lines throughout the state of Michigan. There'll always be able to connect broadly across state lines, across the country, and internationally. The things you see in Flint aren't always so much different from Pontiac, Saginaw, Detroit. but always aren't so much different from Cleveland, St. Louis, et cetera, et cetera. So having those partners across the country, let me say it like this. Working across city and county lines across the state, we keep and maintain and create a healthier and safer Michigan. When we work across state lines and work with those partners across the country, we create a healthier and safer United States of America. The same with when we work across state borders and state lines, we create a healthier world. So it's always important to work with everyone broadly, not just our local community, but everyone, because we just create a safer environment across all geographies, across the entire world.
And that makes sense. So when it's all said and done, man, what kind of legacy do you want Percy Glover's name to stand on?
That's not for me to decide. I can't answer that. That's not for me to decide.
Okay.
It's not my responsibility to say what and how my legacy should be defined. That is a divine power that's greater than me, and my efforts for and with the community, they'll define that for me.
Okay. And like I say, I can accept that answer because, like you say, it's something. It's kind of like one of them, like legacy. It's kind of like a lot of people can self-proclaim something, and you don't want to self-proclaim, and that's cool. So let me ask you this: what advice would you give someone who feels stuck, whether it's in the system, in the streets, or just life, about finding a way forward?
Just get to moving. You know, movement is going to create something, and as you move and get involved, the opportunities will reveal themselves. You know, just get involved, get moving. You know, if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like things aren't happening in the way that you would like or need them to, just, you know, get involved. Whether it's that's getting involved in conversation, whether it's getting involved in the community, or whether that's those things and multiple more, just get involved. You know, it's gonna come to you.
Okay. So, man, this here, man, like, cause we getting close to the end of everything, y'all, man, and I don't want to take up too much of Percy's time, but man, this here just actually, you know what I'm saying? Cause when I first met you, I met you at the Entrepreneurship Ain't Easy, you know what I'm saying, discussion panel, and it's like you got to tell your story, but I wasn't able to really, you know what I'm saying, get the full story of you. So to actually be able to sit down with you, man, and have my own conversation with you, and just based off of seeing what you've been doing with the community, man, it's dope, man. And I'm gonna say this to you, man. Next fishing trip, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying, you know, I'm not that good at it. I can't tell you the last time I've been, but man, I like to get out there on one of them fishing trips, man.
We put that together ASAP.
And I see you just don't do it with the kids, man. Fishing is like a hobby to you. It seems like it's one of them pastimes for you.
That's what I do. I enjoy fishing. I go out to the water. Even, you know, some moments it's not even just about, it's just about just sitting in that serene, peaceful place and just enjoying the atmosphere, you know.
Yeah.
Fishing is obviously a big piece of it because, you know, you see I fish all the time, but, you know, just being close to the water,
That
being
peace of
with
mind.
nature, it's just a different level of quietness and peace that, man, it's just different. It just hits home and hits the heart differently.
Okay. So, man, what's next for you? Like, you got like any big projects that you working on, events or work, you know what I'm saying, that you want the people to know about before we wrap everything up? When the next Harmony Fest, I'm quite sure you working on part 5.
So that's not until the summertime. And I'm pausing just primarily because I don't like to talk about things until it's all the way there, till I know we got it.
Okay,
you know?
that makes sense.
But yeah, there's some energy I'm embracing for some real cool things to happen very soon in the community.
Okay.
Very soon.
Okay. So, you know, if the people pretty much want to stay in contact with you, help out, you know what I'm saying, give resources to, you know what I'm saying, to the programs and to the stuff that you have, how can the people reach out to Percy and connect with you?
I'm a message away. Send me a message on any of the social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Just send me a message. I'm accessible.
Okay. And do you have any last words for the city of Flint or anyone listening who needs that reminder that change is possible?
What's my favorite word? Flint.
Okay, man. So y'all heard it here, man. But before we get you up out of here, Percy, man, I got this part of the show called Keep It P, man. So pretty much, man, I ask you a series of questions, and you just keep it P. You just get your honest, your honest answer, man.
Send it to
your
me.
honest answer. Let me see what I got for you, man. Okay, so bet you overheard a loved one speaking negatively about you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you confront them or do you just let it go?
The person I am today, I would. If there's a confrontation, it would be a confrontation with a smile.
Okay.
And next step would be walking away.
Okay. So next one for you. Keep it P. You have to forgive a loved one who hurt you deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Of course.
Okay.
Why would you want to carry that baggage, that bitterness that will prevent anything and everything positively happening for you in the future? You let it go.
Okay. And last one, you struggle to forgive yourself for a past mistake. How do you move forward?
So the beginning part of a certain chapter in my life, as I was exiting prison, that was something I had to do. You know, I was really hard on myself, and I was in a place where I felt like I didn't deserve greatness because of these terrible things I did that put me in prison. And I had to forgive myself. And once I forgave myself, life became a lot easier. However, it's a process, you know.
Yeah.
The person in the mirror is the hardest person in your life. As hard as the world can be, as hard as the people can be, there's nobody harder on yourself than you.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, you right about that.
For me, that was times 100. Nobody's ever been harder on me than me. And it was a real process for me to have to forgive myself and for me to say, hey, let go of things that you wish you could change, but you can't change. It was a process for me to let go and say, hey, you made a mistake, you made a choice. Let it go.
Okay.
Let it go.
Okay. And that there is solid, man. I think you kept it P with those answers,
Thank you, man.
I think you
y'all.
kept it P with those answers, man. So listen, y'all. On that note, man, we go ahead and get up out of here, man. Until next time, man, y'all was just kicking it with Pete, man. If y'all want to stay tapped in with my man's Percy Glover, man, make sure that y'all follow him. If y'all got inmates that's locked up that may need resources, reach out to them. If you involved in the community and you need resources, reach out to them, man. So tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Y'all just was kicking it with Pete, man. We just up grinding right now, y'all. ATC, we support radio for the artists, radio for the people, and I'm gone.
Good evening, Percy Glover here, kicking it with Pete. Community leader, community ambassador.
It's about that time. Hey, tell a friend to come and pull up a seat. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete. Hey, tell a friend to come and pull up a seat. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete. And when you kick it with Pete, we be keeping it Pete. Come join the conversations, y'all. It's time to kick it with Pete.